Riddle me this, dear viewer. What do you get when you cross Knives Out and Cocaine Bear with a starving audience that will gobble up anything even remotely palatable? Nothing? The answer is Death of a Unicorn, Tim Burton's 2025 story about a father and daughter who get caught up in horrors beyond reality during an otherwise bland business trip. This movie might be described as better than nothing. It's something of a puzzle to me. On the one hand, you can feel that it was made with honest intent and goodwill, but good intentions do not a success make. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely things to enjoy about it, but it suffers from issues that seem endemic to modern movies. For all its troubles, it's probably one of the better movies of 2025. I'm not sure if that says more about the movie or about the industry, but whatever. Any port in a storm, right? Death of a Unicorn is not what you'd call plot-heavy. It stars Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd, who are playing themselves, so I'm just going to call the characters by the actors' names. The whole thing, minus a couple scenes, takes place in a secluded mansion in the woods, where a lawyer, played by Rudd, and his estranged daughter, played by Ortega, have been summoned by Rudd's wealthiest client to discuss the possibility of Rudd getting his best business. On the way to the mansion, Rudd accidentally runs over a unicorn with his car. Ortega then touches the horn as it dies and goes on a psychedelic trip that makes Ozzy's bat thing look mundane by comparison. Desperate not to miss his window, Rudd stuffs the unicorn into the car's trunk until they arrive at the mansion and discover that only the client, called Odell, his wife and son, and a few family employees are present. Ortega has a bad feeling and wants to leave, but Rudd decides that they're going to stay. All's not well in Waffleville, however, because the dead unicorn is not quite dead. What do you know? Maybe Rudd should have listened to Columbus. In fairness, he did try, but it's a magical creature. Do you really think that beating it up is gonna do the trick?
Not a great plan.
Whatever. Anyway, the unicorn alerts everybody to its presence with a quick little rampage before getting shot down. Now, the rich people and Rudd have to decide what to do with the corpse. I guess Ortega doesn't get a vote, despite clearly being an adult, or at least near to it. Still, I mean, you can't exactly go to the local police, can you? When they discover that its horn has healing properties, the rich people enlist their private scientists, because that's a thing, to break down the horn and turn it into a potion to heal the aged, sickly Odell. They also plan to sell the potion to their uber-rich friends for an exorbitant price. Ortega, however, is strongly opposed to all this. When she voices her concerns to her father, he brushes them aside despite agreeing with her because he is bent on securing business with Odell's entire family. This is founded on a promise he made to his late wife to support their daughter no matter what it required of him. Yeah, or something. For what it's worth, this is also what led to his workaholism and why his relationship with his daughter is so strained. Here the plot goes full-blown Jurassic Park. The unicorn, as it turns out, was a baby, and Mom and Dad are not happy. It goes downhill real fast when the adult unicorns begin terrorizing the mansion as they hunt for their slain young. Over the course of several failed attempts, everybody turns on each other as bodies start piling up until only Ortega and Rudd are left. After quickly working through their issues, which is clearly the most pressing thing at the moment, they come up with the inspired idea of just surrendering the cadaver already and hoping that the parents will grab it and go. But no. Twilight Sparkle's goth cousins are out for blood. Mess with the bull and get the horns. Odell's son comes back to life just in time for him and Rudd to kill each other. No worries though, because along with their own child, the unicorns use magic to bring Rudd back to life, dye their hair, and then dip out. I don't know, man. Maybe it has something to do with Ortega having connected with the baby's horn? Don't make me defend this. Father and daughter get arrested for committing a ton of murders, but are rescued by the unicorns, thus setting up a sequel that I hope against hope never gets made. And that's it. That's basically the plot for this movie. Well, that's a lot to digest, but let me take a crack at it. Like I said, there are plenty of good things about this movie. Both of the main actors are pretty competent when they're acting in their element. It's obviously geared a little more towards Jenna Ortega's persona as the new Tim Burton it girl, but Paul Rudd holds his own as a veteran actor. The rest of the cast also delivers solid performances that help the script along. Some of the scenes have genuine tension and emotion, and a lot of the jokes actually land, something that's basically alien to movies lately. Gee, it's almost like hiring actors who care about what they're doing can add to a film's quality. What do you know? Besides, Will Poulter is always a win in my book. Guy deserves more credit. It also has great visuals, but what doesn't these days? The unicorns are more reptilian than horse-like, and they're terrifying, so props to the animators. The shift in tone between lighter and darker colors and lenses before, during, and after the massacres fit together well, and they help to make the story a little more cohesive. However, it starts to unravel with the writing. It's hard to know where to start because I'm unclear on what the script was aiming for, probably because it seems unsure of what it wants to be in the first place. Depending on where you're at, it's either a monster horror flick, or a concept commentary, or a drama about a father-daughter relationship, or a horror comedy, or, well, you get the idea. It works best if you think of it as a horror comedy, but I can't definitively say that's what the filmmakers were shooting for. It also gets kind of preachy at times, but that's a fairly minor thing. The whole movie feels like a game of Tim Burton bingo, so if that's up your alley, then you'll for sure have a good time with it. I did. At the same time, it relies a little too heavily on the Tim Burton brand, and good grief does it show in places. All that said, it's alright. Characters have to make difficult decisions as things get more dire, and we learn quickly when the chips are down who's willing to sacrifice what to achieve their own ends. Dead mom cliche almost never works, and this is no exception. But there's a decent character arc behind workaholic dad works to benefit his daughter and forgets to be present. Odell and his family exhibit a lack of societal understanding without it feeling forced, but they're basically the same character put in 3 different family roles. I don't have much to say about Ortega's character because, well, it's just her type of role. It does function. On the whole, I give Death of a Unicorn a thumbs up and heartily recommend that you add it to your spooky season rotation. It's better than a lot of what comes out these days, even if it's not exactly peak cinema. Flaws aside, you've got to give this movie credit for trying, thanks largely to the man behind it. Tim Burton is one of those Hollywood staples you can always trust to give you something unique. Sure, that often includes the same aesthetic and a few stock elements, but more often than not, it also features an original script that dares to have an actual premise. Such is the case here. I don't see it winning him any Oscars, but if nothing else, I appreciate the die-hard refusal to join with the machine. Knowing Burton, he has some work of twisted genius on par with A Nightmare Before Christmas that he's going to release as a one to grow on for the industry on his way out. This movie is unapologetically Tim Burton, all strings attached. It's the kind of thing you can watch once and enjoy, then forget about when it's done and get on with your life. That is, unless you, like me, hate being happy and analyze these things to death. In which case, the result is the core of a good movie that needed a little more development from a production standpoint, but delivered enough for general audiences. Point of all this being, back over your roadkill.